Please like my videos, please subscribe to my channel, and please press the bell icon so that you get to know when my latest video has come. And to learn more and to find a video relevant to you, please do check out my videos list.
Hello and namaskar and adab to all my friends from your friend astrologer and guide Irfan, once more with you from your very own channel Astro Assurance. Amongst all the planetary entities, including Rahu and Ketu, whereas there is a degree of strength difference from one to the other, and Rahu is said to be from the shlokas probably the most strong or the strongest of all the planets. However, the most important remains the moon, and moon's place in the horoscope becomes very important. Its dignity is very important because moon is the manas, the thinking power of us, the consciousness of ours. And these are just two luminaries, sun and moon, but just two luminaries being very strong can hold sway even among the worst of placement that the other all planetary entities can represent. So if you have a fantastic sun and moon, they can rough ride over all the other planetary entities, even if most negative. So that is the power of the luminaries. And in these two, sun represents the soul, the soul's journey, whereas moon is your mind, your thinking process and your consciousness, and hence moon becomes very important, because if moon is under a spot of bother or big bother, then your consciousness itself, knowing that you exist, who you are, your emotions, everything is under a cloud. So let's today address what the planet moon's placement in the horoscope can bring to us by virtue of results, its manifestations, the challenges it can bring to us by its placement in the 12 different houses. Let's start with the first house. Now the first house is the Lagna itself, is a very important house, and hence whichever planet is present in the first house to a large extent also guides or influences the personality itself or thinking process, and sometimes a major portion of our life. And our thinking gets affected by that, our results get affected by that, and our actions. So when moon itself goes into the Lagna, so your moon or moon's manifestations guide or serve as a guide or even a pathway to life and to the personality of the person. So moon in the first house can make the person a little soft in his or her demeanor, can also be very supportive, can be empathetic, can also be somebody who is more can be round faced, can be good to look at, and may have an attractive personality. Even if the skin color is not so great, but still the personality will be something which may shine bright. So moon in the Lagna is an important placement, and hence many times such people have a very empathetic view of life itself. They try and understand what life means, what the manifestation of different areas of life are. They try to put in effort to understand various aspects of life, and not only people. If a situation is very challenging, many a times they try to look at it from different perspectives. If there is a loss, then too they try to empathize with the situation rather than thinking, why did this happen to me? But if moon is in a spot of bother, if moon is in bad dignity, then such people can really go downhill because their emotions are deeply impacted. And what is a man without his or her emotions? And so emotionally they also can be very influenced. Their life's decisions can be very influenced because of their emotionality, because of the need to support others, to pamper others, to look after others. And so many times their actions are also guided not only in terms of their work or career, which can be more related to the 10th house, but in general all the actions can be related to some or the other aspect of the moon in the Lagna, where mind is affecting their decision, empathy or the need to understand is affecting most or almost all of their decisions. And hence many times when they have to take a decision which may serve them but may not serve the opposite party, then they think twice, and sometimes they overthink whether I should do this or not, because they also thinking from the other person's perspective. So this is a slightly challenging placement if one is not able to understand what the moon's empathy brings to you and overdo that emotionality, overdo the nourishment, then it can be a challenging placement. However, if they utilize the placement of empathizing, of understanding, and the creativity which moon brings in the lagna, and the thinking process which brings in the lagna, then this can be very useful placement. Such people cannot be very manipulative, cannot be too tactical. Unlike if Mercury is there or Rahu is in the lagna, these people have to be soft-hearted. These people have to be somebody who thinks about others. These people have to be, even when they are very, very angry, you will rarely find them, not looking good or not looking presentable. Even in their most anger, these people will still come across as soft in their looks, though they may be harsh in their words. And then later on they feel really sorry also about it. Why did I blow? Because they are emotional people, so their decisions also become very emotional. So as long as they are able to control the emotionality, they are able to enhance their creativity, strengthen the moon, strengthen the thinking power, and use the understanding that moon brings in the lagna to their advantage, this is a fantastic placement with moon in the first house. The moon in the second house is a very, very strong placement. One reason is because moon gets exalted in the second sign of the zodiac, which is Taurus. So obviously moon becomes very, very strong, retains a lot of strength. The other thing is, moon going into the second house means it goes 11 houses away from its natural house, which is Cancer, and hence it brings a lot of gains. It brings a lot of financial gains also, because if it's the second house, then its natural affinity is also towards, or the natural energies are that of Taurus, the financial or the money sign, and hence this can attract money also. Secondly, because the second house is the house of livelihood and earning, so the person's mindset is also towards how do I get a good livelihood, how do I earn more, and they are always worried about financial security as well. So they try to save a lot also. So while they are earning and their focus is towards earnings, focus is to get a honorable livelihood also, but at the back of the mind and sometimes actively, they may also tend to save money. Now because moon is in the second house, and the second house is also the house of the family that you're born in, the tribe that you're born in, the community that you're born in. So many a times such people also have a strong affinity towards not only their family but to their community also, and the larger family. And so they not only are interested in the immediate family or the affairs of father, mother or brother or sister, they always want them to do good and always will be looking after them. They will always have a motherly affection towards family, but not just the family, but the extended community as well. So they go beyond their family and they also want to know what's happening with the extended community, and also want to do well for them or stand by them and support them or nourish them. Because the second house is also the house of values, principles, so these people seldom will move away from the principles and values of the family or the community. They will hold steadfast unless given a very, very strong reason to move away from there, or they have an epiphany. They will be somebody who will tread the same path of the family, of the community, not sacrifice the principles and the values of the family, and be steadfast and committed to the family and take care of the family. Even when they establish their own homes and move out of the home and have their own domestic life, they still will be in touch with their family, with their parents, with the siblings, and always look after them and never hesitate to take care of them or reach out to them every now and then. So moon in the second house can be a good balance where they give you the ethics, the morality, the principles to do good, at the same time attract wealth, attract financial gains, attract good fortune, give you a good livelihood, give you a chance of saving, but at the same time it also brings you somebody who has a soft heart, who has a loving and caring heart, who cares about family and others and will stand by them. So moon, if you have moon in the second house, especially in a strong position, you should know how to milk it to your advantage. Moon in the third house can be a very good plus point for those people who like to communicate, who like to talk, who want to be creative in their communication. So moon in the third house can be the placement of very good writers, very good creative writers, especially fictional writers can do very, very good if they have moon in the third house. Such people can be very, very communicative in their communication or in their marketing also, in how they brand themselves. And many times their communication is more very, very brought out, very creative, not only in terms of their work, but even in terms of social media whenever they are getting connected with the extended network, extended world, they will still be very, very creative. They will be somebody who will be at the top notch of communication. They can be very flowery if they want, they can be cutting or skating if they want, but in all their communication, in all their reaching out to others, of their presence on the social media, there will always be a hint of somebody who cares, somebody who's nourishing and supporting. And even if they're sometimes dressing down people or pulling down people, it will be with a concern for them rather than just admonishing somebody. So if they are reaching out to somebody and pulling down somebody or being sarcastic with somebody, which sometimes moon in the third house can give you, it is more to tell the people that please get your act together. These people can also be somebody who loves to have their own thing rather than work for others. These people are not so much career oriented. They may do a job or they may be career oriented if they don't get an opportunity to do something of their own. But if they do get an opportunity to stand on their own feet, be independent, then they will not hesitate. Though there will always be some fear that if I tread that path of being too independent, then I may lose out. What if I don't do very well? So the fear is always there because the mind is also conscious that I may lose out, and should I take these risks? However, if there is a benefic aspect on moon or if there is a benefic conjunction, then such a placement can push people towards being more of their own bosses rather than toeing the line of somebody else as the boss. And these people also like short journeys, they like to travel a bit. They are also people who may be close to their siblings and look after the siblings and emotionally connect to the siblings. Very hardworking people, very communicative people, very creative in their communication, very creative in their presentation, and somebody who likes to be their own boss. And many a time these people are very independent. They seek less help from others because of moon in the third house, the house of self-enterprise. So a lot of things they try to do on their own. They may reach out to others just to have a sounding board, but yet they will be bosses of their own destiny. They will be taking care of their own things. They will be in control of their destinies, or at least their decisions. But their decisions will always have a hint of the supporting, the nurturing, the creativity. If you have moon in the third house and you want to be truly independent, then use your communication skills to your advantage, use the empathy and understanding to your advantage, make your social connection strong, and you will turn out to be the lucky person. For the moon in the fourth house people, these people are more about their home and their assets and their family than anything else. So the domestic family or the house that they build or create or they're living in, especially post they getting into a committed relationship, that relationship becomes very important to them. That home becomes very, very important to them. It becomes a place of a lot of sanctity for them. So the family, the home environment is most important to them. And hence, moon in the fourth house people usually like to do up the house, are emotionally attached to the house. There will be small things in the house also that they can relate to. They don't like to let go of things easily, especially if there is an emotional attachment to that. And many times such people will also be close to their mother. There will be at least one family member who will not be in their domestic life after they get married, but they will still be as an involvement of that family member. It could be a sister, it could be elder brother, it could be a parent, it could be their mother, or it could also be a very close friend on whom they depend on for that emotional support to keep the domestic environment intact. Being very, very emotional people, they will take a lot of emotional decisions for the family, and hence because they are doing everything for the family, so their focus is a lot on financial security. So they want to build assets so that they are financially secure later on, and if push comes to shove, they are taken care of financially. If something happens to them, the family is in good stead. So these people focus a lot on building assets, will try and create property, will create some investments somewhere, tangible investments, and will want to have a good house. Their house will also have a very soft appeal. They will have good colors, pastel colors, lively colors, not too many dark colors for them. They like a lively house, they like a lit up house. They will have a lot of airy houses, and they will be people who will nourish that environment a lot. If they have the option, they will want to work out of home or as much as possible be at home. And such people, even when they come back from work, many times their whole focus will be on home. Even when if they're working on from their laptops, they will back on their mind, consciously or unconsciously, they will always be thinking about home. They will be thinking about the environment, unlike some other people who may be still thinking about work even when they are home. And so the moon in the 4th house people, sometimes even when they are at work, would be thinking about home, and their decisions are also bound by what will happen to my house, what will happen to my family if I do this or do that. So a lot of their decisions in life are taking care basis their home environment, their assets, their family, their peace of mind. And hence many times, to keep the peace of mind, they also sacrifice a lot. So these people, because they are emotional, they may sacrifice a lot. However, if they think that they are being taken for a ride, then they may emotionally blow up much stronger than anybody else. So as long as you keep peace at home or peace with people who have moon in the 4th house, especially if you are in a relationship with them, everything will be hunky-dory. If you push the envelope too much, then God help you with people who have moon in the 4th house. They can be the most loving and caring of people, but they can also turn around to be the most hard-hitting to you if you don't show them that you also care, that you also understand. Moon in the 4th house, a placement of huge financial assets, good, loving, caring environment, lot of peace of mind, as long as you know how to keep the balance between work and home well. And that is the moon in the 4th house for you. Moon in the 5th house is one of the most versatile of positions, and it brings many things to the desk. Firstly, the 5th house is the house of your emotions, your romance, and your connection to the opposite gender. So moon here in the 5th house makes you very connected to different sorts of emotions. One, it can make you very connected to your romantic partner, and hence, because you give so much in the relationship, you fall in love also pretty soon. A lot of people with moon in the 5th house may have love at first sight, not over 2, 3, 4 meetings. You meet and you try to understand each other. A lot of people with moon in the 5th house will be love at first sight people, and then they give a lot in the relationship. They are very emotional about that association, that partnership, that romance, that relationship, and hence if the heartbreak comes, then the heartbreak comes with devastation. And hence, because these people sometimes wear their hearts on their sleeves, or they are emotional, they empathize easily, and many times that empathy converts into love or is mistaken for love, or they get into a relationship assuming this is love. And because they give so much and they get attached so much, and they seldom get reciprocated as much as they give, many times their wishes and desires or their expectations from the opposite gender may not come to the extent that they want, and hence breakdowns may also happen. A lot of heartbreak may also happen, and hence many times such people with moon in the 5th house can go through 2 or 3 or even 4 relationships before they eventually settle down. I know of people with moon in the 5th house where even after 15 to 20 years with 4 or 5 relationships, one breaking after the other, they still not have come to terms that they need to be balanced in how much they give rather than they receive. This placement can also make you very close to children. Children become very important to you. You are very emotionally attached to children. Once children are born, you seldom have a lot of time or attention for many other things. A lot of priority is given to children and then to the others. If you are doing things for others also, or connecting to work, or connecting even to your romantic partner or your husband, even then children will become a very important part of that life and important part of your decision making, because the 5th house is also the 8th house to the 10th house. If moon goes here, so it also sometimes makes you a little too frustrated or anxious from work perspective. If things are not going well with work, if you don't feel settled, if you don't feel happy, then there is always this itchiness that should I move out, should I find another job, because I'm not being appreciated, I'm not being recognized as much. So that always the tendency is there. This gives also a big boost for people who are performers. If you like to do something, indulge in some art, then you will do it with whole heart, because moon is also not only your mind, also heart and your emotions. So such people will give a lot of emotional performances. They will be very, very creative, especially if they are in arts like singing and dancing or music. They will give their heart and soul there. So very heartfelt performances will also come from such people. Moon in the 5th house, actors will be very, very good at emotional scenes also, and will make you laugh, will make you cry, and will also be and suck you up into the emotional quagmire. If they are into in the acting field or into the arts field, such people can be very, very creative painters and can move people by their paintings or their photographs. So overall, very, very good placement, as long as you are careful about speculative investments, because Moon in the 5th house also takes you towards speculative investments. People sometimes don't know where to stop or what kind of decision you should take. Mercury is more of a calculated, practical person. Moon is more of an emotional person, and hence sometimes emotional decisions are taken where investments are concerned. Somebody tells you, somebody feels nice, talks to you very, very nicely, is very, very convincing, then you will go with them rather than look at the numbers on paper. Somebody is an agent and convinces you, tries to be very, very friendly, tries to be very, very caring, please make this investment here, and you may follow the lead, only to later on realize that you have not made the best of decisions. So as long as you are careful of who you fall in love, as long as you are careful not to give too much in your love relations and give too much to children, and as long as you are careful where to make your investment, as long as you put your heart and soul and work, yet not be too emotional about, too itchy about changing the jobs, as long as you put a lot of creativity in your performances, yet know that don't be too connected, because there will always be this time when your performance is done, you will suddenly feel something moving away from under your feet. So as long as you are able to balance this, Moon in the 5th house can attract gains, can make you a great performer, can make you a great lover, can also attract a lot of goodwill towards you, because this is also the house of the Sanchita Karma. That is the placement of Moon in the 5th house for you. Moon in the 6th house can be a very good placement for those people who are very service minded. If you like to serve people, if you like to empathize with people, if you like to connect with people and do something for them, and if you have a soft heart, then Moon in the 6th house can be very, very good for you. So in your work, you may be connected to supporting others, nourishing others, taking care of others, and that approach to work will also be like human resources approach or humanity oriented approach. Such people can be good doctors, they can be good vets where you take care of animals. You can also be somebody who has a lot of plants and you keep plants around you, you have a lot of interest in nurseries, and some people who have a green thumb can also be with Moon in the 6th house. The only challenge with Moon in the 6th house is because Moon has gone into the 6th house of enemies, inimical placement. So Moon is emotions. So there could always be one relation of yours who is always troubling you, who is coming across as an enemy to you, at least emotionally, and will always suck up the emotions from you. You have a very tough time dealing with them, you have a tough time coming to terms with them, you have a tough time in being able to balance that relationship, and you tend to give more first, and then you feel that you are getting an animosity filled or inimical reaction from the other side, then you feel let down. Same thing happens in competition also. Moon in the 6th house can be very competitive people, yet because they have a soft heart, many times the competition also overshadows them because of the empathy. So you have competitive at work, you want to do better than somebody else, but the colleague who is very competitive with you comes and asks you for help, and then you let your guard down, you go across and help them, only to realize that they have stolen the march over you. So being competitive is good, however not letting your guard down in competition is very, very important. Such people can do very well in competitive exams also. If they put their heart and soul into it, they keep their focus there, they can do very well. However, many people, because they get too emotionally attached to if they don't do well, they also feel down, they feel depressed. So they start off very well, but if they face one or two failures, they also give up very, very fast. So they can get emotionally attached to competition, love competition, want to indulge in competition, or set in competitive exams, or be in competitive situations and excel in it, and they can do very, very well as long as they keep the emotions under check. Such people can also be people who don't do so much involved in business. They usually don't get that kind of a success in business, how much they get in their career and their work, because they feel very committed, very attached to the work that they do. And many a time the decision that they take in which area to work in, which industry to work in, is also because they feel attached emotionally also. They understand that part very well, or they empathize with that industry more. So if your moon in the 6th house, you can keep that competition at bay, not let your heart down or emotions down, and keep in check that one emotion or that one relation who's troubling you a lot. Then you can be somebody who can excel in service, can do very, very well in service, and then can be somebody who has become one of the best performing doctors or vets or anybody who is in a service oriented, a customer oriented field. And that is the placement of moon in the 6th house for you. What can be said about moon in the 7th house? This is a person, because the 7th house is everybody and anybody who you connect on a day-to-day basis. So moon in the 7th house means you empathize with everybody else, and sometimes you are at the receiving end because you tend to over empathize. You try to understand other people's perspective more, and even if somebody does bad to you, then you try to justify, oh, he or she did this to me because this happened to them, or because I said this, or because they misunderstood. Very less of the times do you really want to call a spade a spade. You are more forgiving here. Because the 7th house is also the house of partnership, so here your emotions get connected to the partner. So whoever you get married to, or you are in the long-term committed relationship, they become your world. Your whole world is around them. Your whole life becomes around them. And so because you come across as somebody who is completely wanting to be with them, you may also come across as slightly clingy. And so the partner sometimes feels suffocated or doesn't feel that you are giving enough space. So one has to be very careful how much empathy you expect from others and you may not get, because the partner may not feel that much attached to you or wanting that attention from you. Not that the partner loves you less, but the partner may not want as much attention from you. And hence, because you give more, and the 7th house is also the house of balance, being the original sign of Libra, here you tend to tilt the balance in other person's favor. You tend to give much more than the partnership expects from you, or the partnership deserves from you, and hence many times you are at the receiving end. If you are in business, many times the partner may take slightly more profits or the credit than you. And even if the business is going down, because of your over empathization, over understanding, you are slightly more lenient toward the partnership also, and you want to salvage the relationship also. And many times you will keep letting your guard down more and more, and you give more and more because you want the relationship to be intact, you want the partnership to be intact. So if your moon in the 7th house, you can be very good at dealing with anybody and everybody. You can get anybody to over your side very easily because of your caring attitude, because of your supporting attitude. Just be careful that you don't give too much. Because of your creativity, you can have fantastic partnerships. You can work very well with team. If two people can coordinate with each other, if two people complement with each other, if a team complements each other well, then this can be a fantastic team. This can be a fantastic partnership. No team, no partnership can compete with such partnership. So if you are moon in the 7th house, if you are lucky and if you get a good partner, you get a good husband, you get a good spouse, life can be a bed of roses for you. And that is the placement of moon in the 7th house for you. Now moon in the 8th house is one of the more tricky placements, because the 8th house has the natural sign energies of the Scorpio sign, and we know that moon gets debilitated in the sign of Scorpio. So obviously going into the 8th house is not definitely a bed of roses for the moon or for the person who has moon in the 8th house. So this is a troublesome or trouble prone moon, which means the mind can be troubled easily. Not that you get troubles, you get issues, but because your moon is in the 8th house, you get trouble more easily, and you get through anxieties more sooner than the others. Your mind is not as strong to be able to take the turbulations, to take the obstacles, and to take those challenges. Secondly, because of moon in the 8th house, many times situations also come suddenly to you, for which many times you are not prepared. And because you are not prepared, the situation overwhelms you. overwhelms you emotionally as well, and because of which a lot of people may also feel at the receiving end of anxieties, frustrations, fears, and even depression. So if your moon in the 8th house, you need to be really careful and try and be more prepared, and always not jump into situation immediately the moment you face it. Always take a step back, take your time to understand the situation, and then deal with it, and try and deal with the situation less emotionally, because if you deal with the situation more emotionally, you invest a lot in that, and when further losses, further obstacles come to you, when further letdowns comes to you, then you can be devastated. Moon in the 8th house can be an excellent position for research and taking a keen interest in those areas which are not researched enough, where information is not enough, where others don't tend to delve much. So a research oriented placement, a lot of people who are in research for medicine, in products, in the biology industry, in the zoology industry, in the insurance field, in the banking field, connected to the government, all can do very, very well if you have moon in the 8th house. Such people can also empathize with people who themselves go through sudden challenges, and many people with moon in the 8th house can also be people who work in emergency services. Such people may also volunteer for emergency services more than the others, and such people can also be your 4 o'clock or 4 a.m. friends. So moon in the 8th house, you will rush to the help of others more than others come to help you. If you are a research oriented person, if your mind is very curious and you can hold back your emotions in trying times and tough times, then this can be a fantastic placement, because in research nobody can put a finger on you. So friends, if your moon in the 8th house, if you're a little careful, then you can do very, very well, and that is the placement of moon in the 8th house for you. With moon in the 9th house, this is a good placement where you get connected to the high experiences and learning. Such people can be people who get very connected to their educational learning, or education may be very important for them, learning may be important for them. So many times they will not take something just because it is in the market or it is current. They will take up an educational qualification or learning which also appeals to them. If it doesn't appeal to them, if it doesn't appeal to their mind, if it doesn't appeal to their heart, seldom will such people take up that learning or that course or that degree or the qualification. But if sometimes circumstances force them, then they will put their heart and soul to still be able to do better with that. Such people can be close to father, especially moon is in a good placement in the 9th house. They can also have blessings of the gurus. However, sometimes they can also have this love-hate relationship with at least some gurus, because they are emotional. So if gurus are not that supportive, gurus don't come across as kind, gurus don't come across as understanding or empathy oriented, then such people may also have challenges or issues with gurus. Such people love to travel, they are also very adventurous, they are also very religious minded, but more towards spirituality. It is not so much that they would want to go into the religious institution. They may definitely like to visit spiritual places, but it is not so much about prayer. It is more about how much they connect to the spiritual realm, how much they connect to the supreme energy. And sometimes their belief system can also be more empathy oriented. They may even question their beliefs, and they feel that if God can't be nurturing, God can't be helping, then such an energy may not also deserve your attention. So they are more spiritually connected to the Lord, where they also feel that doing something for the humanity is important, and hence many times they also try and use the educational qualification to give back to society or do something good for the society. Because they love to travel also, so they may connect their educational qualification with going abroad or going to long distance universities away from their homes. So the educational qualification may also come very far away from home, or after getting the educational qualification they may travel a lot of distance to take up their career and to further their career. The 9th house also being the house of religious ceremonies, weddings, and because their moon is here, many times such people may also have one long-term relationship which breaks before they get into a long-term committed relationship through a religious ceremony such as marriage. So if you have moon in the 9th house, be careful of how much you're giving emotionally to your learning. Get the high learning, get the high experiences, but don't get into an emotional downfall. Be careful of who you get into a relationship with, because the heartbreak can be very strong before you get into a long-term stable, maybe second relationship or even the third. This can attract a lot of gains as long as you keep your emotions in check, as long as you use your creativity, and as long as you use your educational qualification not only to do for others but also take care of yourself. And that is the moon's placement in the 9th house for you. Moon in the 10th house connects you strongly to work that you do, and hence many a times with people with moon in the 10th house, they will take up a career or work only when they feel they can emotionally relate to that work. If you are forced to get into a work even where you don't feel emotionally attached, yet the mannerism in which you work will bring that emotional empathy to the fore. So here, if you are not able to show empathy to the work output, then you will give it to the colleagues. You will stand by your colleagues, you will support your colleagues, you will empathize more with the boss, and hence many times boss may dump a lot of work on you. So those people who may be seen as team workers because they are always volunteering, they are always doing more, can be with people with moon in the 10th house. And hence, because they carry a lot of work home also, so even while they are at home, their minds may be still at work because of that pending work and because they empathize so much. And if a worker is not doing very well, they may not only help and support the worker, but even when they get home, they may still be thinking about that fellow worker, that colleague, and may even talk about office things related to office more with the spouse. So sometimes they may overdo that, speak to spouse more about their own work rather than spouse and the affairs of the children. So this can be something which can be a challenging thing for them. Secondly, because they get emotionally attached to their work, emotionally attached to workers, their colleagues, to the bosses also, and hence if they are not appreciated enough, if they feel that they are not being recognized, then they also feel strongly let down. And then the anxieties and frustrations can come to the fore. If their moon is not very strong, then many times such people may not get along well with bosses. They feel they are not getting their due. And even with a small dressing down from bosses or small dressing down at work from superiors, these people feel immediately very frustrated, very sad, and they may also feel very emotional about it. People who are always on their guard, not to antagonize bosses, to take care of their colleagues, go out of their way to help people, yet sometimes are not appreciated enough, not get their due with people with moon in the 10th house. Such people are very creative at work. They will bring all their creativity, all their energies, all their empathy, all their understanding to the work arena, and they give much more than they can afford to. And hence, because they pour out everything at work, yet sometimes they don't get rewarded to the extent that they deserve, and hence many a times such people will also feel very lost. Such people may also take emotional decisions to change their job, to change their projects, change their teams, and then later on may also regret. So if you want to be somebody who is on top of things, try and be those who don't take emotional decisions, who don't take knee-jerk decisions, who don't bring the temperament at work, and be on your guard. Try and be in the good books of supervisors. Try and ensure that while you are in the good books of supervisors, also be a little tactful rather than be too emotional, which is unlike with a Rahu or a Mercury in the 10th house, who can be tactful or even manipulative. Here you can be too emotional. So as long as you are able to balance that, still give enough to work, yet take care of yourself, yet be able to negotiate from a position of strength, then people with moon in the 10th house can be the best creative resources and can get the best creative output and can be the best performers at work, as long as you know how to also use that to your advantage. And that is the moon in the 10th house for you. Moon in the 11th house can be a fantastic placement for you as long as you know where to draw the line where society is concerned. Moon in the 11th house can make you lot of good friends, or good friends which are acquaintances, but the close friends may be just 2 or 3 who you can really call your 4 AM friends. Such people with moon in the 11th house will feel very strongly towards one social cause. It could be water, it could be the environment, something that they want to do well for, and they put their heart and soul here. They are thinking people, but they are also people who are very emotionally attached to that one concern, and generally they will empathize with a lot of people in what's happening in society, and hence many times their work will also be connected to some social cause. So a lot of people who work in organizations like the PETA or the climate group or the Greenpeace, Many times you will find people get connected with some or the other, or some way that they are giving back to society. Such people may also have a lot of wishes and desires. They want to do very well. They also want to lead a good life. They want to do very well materialistically also, and hence they put a lot of hard work and pain at work, or whatever their projects are. However, they sometimes get too emotionally attached to the seniors at work, where they empathize too much with them. These people can also be very close to their elder siblings, or some old member or some elder member in society or their friend circle who they relate to a lot. And sometimes with moon in the 11th house, they can even end up in a relationship with somebody who's so-called friend, but the age gap may be different, or there may be a lot of difference in their understanding or how they relate with each other. And hence, many times such people may also find their partner or their spouse connected to work or related to work, or somehow getting connected to their work environment. So be careful not to wear your heart on your sleeve, because this can also backfire if you don't meet the right people. Not to be too emotionally connected to general society and others, not while completely ignoring the home, can be your bane. So know where to balance. Such people a lot of times may also want to be outside of their homes rather than inside. So socializing with friends, going out with friends, maybe even going to parties may be good for them. However, they may not be emotionally connected to that society or that environment. They are just going there to have fun, to let their hair down, though sometimes they tend to overdo it without realizing that they may be ignoring the family or ignoring the important relationship at home. So as long as you can keep the wishes and desires in check, as long as you can also know where to draw the line, how much you are giving to organization, how much you are giving to society, and how much you keep for yourself, as long as you know how to keep your emotions in check, not to give too much into others, some senior people or older people who don't deserve that attention, you are good. A lot of your wishes and desires can come true with moon in the 11th house, as long as you know what to truly desire and where to keep your hands off. And that is the result of moon in the 11th house for you. Moon in the 12th house is a very interesting placement. One, because the 12th house relates naturally to the Pisces sign, which rules the 12th house, and it is a water sign, and Cancer sign, which moon rules, is also water sign. So moon is very comfortable in the 12th house. The only challenge is because the 12th house is also the house of losses and excesses, so sometimes the emotional excesses may lead to losses also. Such people can be very, very creative, but these people can also be living in a world which is slightly more idealistic. And so sometimes, because they think the world is ideal, if I give, if I contribute, I will also get things in return, or be reciprocated. If I appreciate, I will also be appreciated. If I am empathized, I will also get empathy in return. So sometimes they invest too much in a relationship, in a friendship, in a project, in work, or some cause which they feel they get attached to. But they seldom get the reciprocated, or seldom they get acknowledged. And hence, many times with moon in the 12th house, it's more of giving. The most giving people, the most philanthropic of people, but who seldom get reciprocated in the same manner, is people with moon in the 12th house. Highly emotional people, and in their emotions, they cross all boundaries and get strongly connected to the project or that venture or that partnership or the team. Sometimes not even expecting back. Many times with people with moon in the 12th house, they also don't know how much they can get out of that association, get out of that work, get out of their career, and get out of that relationship also. And hence they keep doing, they get into a relationship without thinking too much, what is it in it for me. They get into a project or a company without thinking too much, what's in it for me, assuming, hoping that because the world is good, everybody is good, I will get things in return. They are not so good at negotiating. Sometimes they are not good at negotiating their roles at work. They are not so good at negotiating their salaries. They are not good at pushing for their promotions or for their growth. And many times these people become those who come last in getting promoted, in getting recognized, or getting reciprocated for their work, or getting reciprocated for what they deserve. Such people may love to be closer to water, but they can also drown in the emotions because of moon being in the 12th house. They get connected, they can empathize with people from different cultures, and so working with people from different cultures or with foreign lands or with foreign clients come easy with them. These people can work in very supportive, customer oriented or nurturing and supportive roles to people from foreign lands or for foreign companies or as consultants, and such people can do very well. And such people can do very well in supportive organizations like hospitals, with clinics, or even with armed forces, or in government services also, wherever this is a supportive organization rather than the main organization. These people can also do very well in any creative field, as long as they know how to use their creativity at work without drowning themselves and without pushing their boundaries too far and not getting reciprocated in return. So if your moon in the 12th house, you could be somebody who is more comfortable at night. The best of creativity, the best of work output comes at night for you. But there could also be a night in your life where getting the rewards that you deserve also are concerned. So be a little careful with moon in the 12th house. Learn how to negotiate for yourself also, how to bargain for yourself also, rather than putting all your eggs in one basket and giving all of that to others, hoping that the world is ideal and you will get things in return. You will have to take care of yourself with moon in the 12th house, and this is the result of moon in the 12 houses for you. So friends, now that you know how moon functions in the 12 houses in the horoscope, check where your moon is, what yoga it is in, what dosha it is in, with what aspects it is in, what conjunction it is in, and based on that analyze for yourself what does it mean, what challenges it brings, what opportunities it brings, and how it manifests. If you're looking for a personal consultation from me in any area of your life, please feel free to reach out to me at the links given below. Until some other time with some other video, this is your friend astrologer and guide Irfan signing off. Ciao.